Hello, Babyliciouses. Welcome to Babes on the Brink. We are going to be covering the Traitors Quebec Season 2, episodes 4 to 6. I am the most faithful of faithful, Annabel, and joining me, the eternally betrayed Australian survivors, Chili Philly. Hi.
Hello.
Okay, it's been a journey to get to you all today. Philly's computer is broken. Philly's audio is not connecting.
Frozen.
I was too hungover to turn up to our original recording session.
I forgot that's what we're doing today.
It's been a journey. Look, it's my birthday weekend, everyone, so we're allowed
happy
to be a little bit
birthday.
chaotic. Thank you. And growling in the background, Puffy Fluffykins, who is 100% a traitor. He woke me up multiple times in the night saying he urgently required a scratchy tummy, and I didn't fall for it because I knew it was going to be a murder in plain sight.
So relevant. So relevant.
Yeah, so let's just do some housekeeping notes before we get into these 3 episodes. Full spoiler warnings for all English-speaking versions of The Traitor that have aired to date. Possibly some spoiler warnings for Australian Survivor Brains vs. Brawn Season 1. Maybe some spoilers for other seasons we've seen that weren't in English. I don't know. We are the chaos. So we are watching this via you can follow along with us, Traitors Quebec, if you go to Reddit to the Traitors Archive. Now, as these subtitles are being added, not sure if they're being done with AI, but look, the translations aren't always going to be perfect. We're very grateful for the subtitles. We couldn't watch it without them. But I have some corrections from last week, Phil.
Yeah, okay.
So first of all, Sweaty Marc-Andre would like to clarify that he didn't say he had a crush on Arnick. Marc-Andre is happily loved up and in a relationship. What Sweaty Marc-Andre was actually saying was that Arnick reminded him of one of the popular girls from high school.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So just PSA, everyone, Sweaty Marc-Andre not in love with Arnick. That was fake news.
Yeah,
Okay?
lost metaphor in translation.
Meanwhile, new friend of the pod, synagoguist Manuel, who we stan,
Yeah.
has multiple degrees, okay? I can't remember what they are, but it was something like synagogy and anthropology, but psychology could have been in there as well, unclear. As in unclear in my memory. And Manuel strongly believes in evidence. He's very anti-fake synagogy and fake body language reading, which is why he's not revealed many of the pieces of evidence he had found in the first 3 episodes. But his hidden genius will be coming out in this recap, Philly.
Yes. Oh my gosh, highlight. One of the highlights. This was a real... I have to say, before you continue, this spree of 3 episodes was very, very good.
Loved this. This was so fun. It was the Quebec cast bringing the kind of drama and unhingedness we only see out of Canada and then somehow is amplified in French-speaking Canada.
Yep. No, I love it. Sorry, continue.
No, I was going to ask, what did you think?
I love... Because, wait, how are these... How are these airing, by the way? 3 a week? Once a week?
So I think we're airing 1 episode a week.
Oh, so this actually read really well as a block of 3.
It's 1 episode a week, I think.
Yeah, these read really well as a 3-episode saga.
And also, it's just at this time, episode 7 is already out, and I think episode 8 might be out as well, but neither of them have had subtitles added for us yet. So neither Philly or I speak French.
No, but what I realize now is one of the things we always say about Traitors Canada is that they're very good at setting up storylines between episodes, which is why sometimes it's really annoying to watch it week to week because what we see at the end of one episode has no real payoff because it's actually something else that is lead in. But watching them all together in a block, even though we actually technically watched 3 weeks in 1 week or one go, it reads really well because it is a cohesive narrative between episodes.
Yes. Very much so. So who are your favorite characters in this block? Or
Oh,
to
I
see?
think almost everyone. That sounds so dumb, but I feel like everybody has at least one moment. I'm trying to think of somebody who might not have had a moment at some point. Um, no, I think everybody really
We
has some
don't
sort of
really
starring.
get as much from Yolene as I
Oh
would
no.
like.
No, but she has. I think we're coming into her. We're coming into the Yolaine era because she starts piping up a little bit
Yeah.
more, and she gets thrown under the bus as somebody who's in the room. So I think we're coming up to Yolaine era.
Yolene doesn't much care for Mike, I'm getting the impression.
Yeah.
There's a few she's got her beefs, which we love. I really thought that these three episodes were all about Audrey, survivor
Yes.
villain Audrey. She
Yes.
was being the absolute most
Most.
in every moment. So I thought she was iconic. I thought we got some really amazing synagoguist Manuel content as well.
Yes, I feel like we semi manifested these 3 weeks for us. We talked so much about Manuel, and we posted so much about Maxime that they ended up being like the stars of these 3 episodes, like their little tiff across all of the episodes.
It's so true. Like candles out for suspicious twink Max. That this was a very upsetting end, I thought, to these three episodes, but we will get to it. I also wanted to say before we started, like, full shout out to this cast. They have had the most amazing sense of humor about Babes on the Brink. I was openly roasting last time we recorded. Didn't really think anyone would be listening to this. I like a good scream into the void. But they've all had an excellent sense of humor about our shameless roasting, and we appreciate you.
Yeah, yeah. At this point, I'm like, let's see if Audrey listens to this. I'll be like, oh my God, Audrey, would you like to recap an episode of Versus the World, given you have a castmate on this?
Yes,
So,
Audrey, let us know.
yeah, let us know, Audrey.
Okay, let's get in. So, if you remember, which I didn't, I had to go and look at my notes. It was a very long time ago. At the end of episode 3, we had got rid of not very good sales rep Josh because he was
Relentless.
annoying and distracting everyone. And then Audrey has a massive fight with Marie Pierre, who used to be her buddy. But they pop off on each other. And Audrey's like, look, Marie Pierre and Fred and also Manuel, that's who I'm coming for. And that kind of does play into this coming in episode and this week in general. So we open up episode 4 and everyone is kind of having a little bitch about synagoguist Manuel because Queen Harissa, and we didn't get too much from Harissa in the first 3 episodes, but we said she seemed like she was quite intelligent.
Mm.
The thing with Harissa is she's either like all on it or like girly pops, what are you doing? So Queen Harissa was pointing out some what the rest of the castle thought were fairly basic, straightforward ideas. But synagoguist Manuel thought, oh, wow, Harissa, you're really a step ahead with that thinking. And everyone's like, but Manuel's a synagogist. He's a genius. He can't possibly think Harissa was a step ahead.
No, my favorite sort of character arc so far with Harissa is, oh, I know it's probably like in one of the episodes later on down the line, but when the others start having a go at her for just saying too much, and she's like, and then they start attacking her personality, and she's like, oh my God, I can't believe they're starting to come for my personality. I probably should calm the fuck down a little bit. And then I loved it because she was like, whoa, okay, this is a bit random. I probably should stop.
Rest in peace, whoever's doing the subtitles for Harissa, because by her own admission, she uses 100 words where 2 would have done. And like, they're struggling to understand what she's saying. I'm listening to her in another language as translated through subtitles. I never know what she's saying. Also, one of the traitors starts massively beefing with her because she's so bad at missions. I can't remember who that was either.
Oh,
We'll get to it. But it was just, she has been an icon and I love Harissa. She's one of my
no,
favorites.
I like Harissa too.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Marie Pierre and Audrey, they're still kind of rehashing their fight. And they're kind of saying they're going to put it behind them. But that remains to be seen.
Oh my god, I just realized what happens over the episodes.
Yes. Narrator's voice. Audrey did not put this behind her.
That's hilarious.
There's also simmering tension between Karine and Arnick. Like, Arnick, I can't decide at this point who she dislikes more, Karine or Marilyn. Marilyn wrote her name down, but the moment Karine came into Traitors Tower, Arnick was like, no, I don't like this. I'm the main character. There's not enough room for two of us. So Arnick is just like out to backstab her other traitors for seemingly no reason, but we love it. And Marilyn is last in and makes a big show of having shaking hands and being very nervous, which synagoguist Manuel says you couldn't fake.
How believable is it in the room when people are reacting to like is everything believable because it's all you know in front of you?
I think it really depends on the person. For me, like big physical displays of emotion, I don't necessarily read into them too much because maybe you're just someone who's very extra. I mean, I'm very extra. I cry a lot, but also, I mean, for instance, I noticed with Blake and Sam that they did the same big hands in the air react to when they were pretending to be shocked. And when I saw it seemed out of character with everything else they did. And when they were mimicking each other in that way, that was a piece of evidence for me. So
Yeah.
I think it's just trying to get to know these people and what's consistent with their character and what's not. I wouldn't say having shaking hands would be, for me, like evidence one way or another. Yeah.
Traitor.
So, yes. So, person who we didn't see a lot of in the first three episodes, Marie Jean. She is dead.
Yeah, we predicted that.
We possibly predicted that.
That was
A
the
lot
one thing
going
I was
on
like,
there.
it's probably her.
It's probably her. We barely knew you, Marie Jean. Sorry. We see that Mike, so husband, cop Mike, gave Corinne, who is also apparently, we can call her 007 Corinne. That's Traitor Corinne.
Yeah.
Gave her a tip off that Marie Jean is going around looking for lots of info. But apparently people were quite sus on Marie Jean, so maybe not the best murder ever, whatever. Letitia, classic beauty Letitia, absolutely gutted. Marie Jean was her best friend, and Face Tats Michael finds it very suspicious.
Do you know what is so funny about us even just being like, Marie Jean, whoever she was? It's like her journal is the 23rd character or whatever in this cast. Like they're like, no. These other journals were irrelevant because those people were dumb. It's her journal that had the
True.
most information. So maybe that was the setup. Maybe she's meant to live on through the journal like Tom Riddle.
Oh my god! Not a rogue Harry Potter reference. She's
I'm sorry,
definitely
I do
had
not
more of
support
an
that.
impact on the show since she's left.
Yeah. But you know what? That's icon behavior. Like you could only dream of having a long-standing reference every single episode after you've been eliminated from a show.
Literally. And in fairness, like the other people who've gone out so far, their journals, not super useful.
No.
Which we will get to. We need to talk about the journals in depth, I think. So
Yeah.
Letitia Letitia is suspicious of Marilyn. And we get to the post breakfast. So this is where we have a little husband and wife powwow. Mike is like, look, Corinne, I am not putting your name in my journal. I would never name you in my journal. And do not give me any hints if you are a traitor. This is just for the cameras. Like, obviously they must know and they're protecting each other. Are we just letting the producers know that they're not doing dodgy in the game? Or do you think these are the kind of people who actually wouldn't be playing the game properly?
I think it's the latter, to be perfectly honest. Because he came clean so quickly. And it's like, but it wasn't to any, like, I guess it was to absolve him from looking like a traitor for defending her. But they didn't really work together, I found. Like they both were
Yeah.
sort of like we're trying to protect each other, but they had no strat. Like I feel like in Canada, two, we did see a few scenes of Kira and that guy. Whatever what was his name? Luke? Matt?
Oh, Nick.
Nick.
He was your crush pick, Phil.
Yeah, I'm so sorry to Nick. You and your 4 billion followers. But then we saw them sort of be like, okay, if you're a trader, blah, 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 all this sort of thing. More of a, I'm gonna put, and there was almost no intent, especially for a unit that actually benefits from one of them winning. You would have thought that they would have strategically approached it a little bit better. Like Mike might not have needed to be so up in front, revealing so much information and then telling her retroactively. Like you would have thought they would have coordinated that sort of thing. I think that was my red flag last time. Like I was like, how come you're just saying all this information and she has to be on the back foot the whole time?
Yeah, Mike doesn't really strike me as a gamer.
No.
And Corinne doesn't strike me as a gamer either.
Well, he said that she was the one who wanted to apply. And then he
but
sort
for
of
fun.
came along. Yeah. So he wouldn't have really thought of it.
No, I don't think so. I think they're vibes people. Audrey's really scared that because she's taking up too much space, it might get her murdered. And it's like, no, girl, that's what's keeping you safe. Like, you are so loud and so wrong and so aggressive about it. There ain't no way you're getting murdered.
No, it's like alternate universe Trana. Like, I think we said this in the last pod, like, Trana had so much heart, and these people have, like, not that.
No, Audrey is the ice queen. Like, if Trana didn't have a heart and also ran around with a machete threatening people, that's kind of the energy that Audrey's bringing.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Trana, this is your evil twin.
Yeah, literally. Very much the evil twin, but we stan. So meanwhile, like the traitors, they hate each other. They're kind of throwing each other under the bus. 007 Corinne is telling hot, possibly lesbian, probably not, mom, Marie Pierre, that she's sus on Audrey, Anik, and Manuel. And Marie Pierre's like, come on, let's think outside the box a little. What about Kevin? What about Max? What about Marilyn? And she's like, yes, Marilyn. Could be Marilyn.
My favorite thing is like, I think after Canada too, because that was the most recent one we watched together at.
Yes.
So, actually, I think it was actually US, but
US. It was probably US, but that doesn't count.
Who cares? But, we got so much edit of everybody being like, ooh, Neda, Robot Neda might be suspicious. And then, everybody later on, like, told us it was kind of somewhat not really the truth. Like, you just literally just got shown us the 5 scenes where we were suspicious of Neda. I wonder if we're getting shown so much of Marilyn, like people catching on to her name, but not really actioning anything because it's not really as solid as everybody suspects. Because they just keep pointing out it's because she's quiet, but they also keep applying that to like 5 other people as well.
I think we'll get to the point after the Saint vs. Sinners mission with Charles and how Charles is really stuck on, but Marilyn literally has no personality. Why was she there?
Yeah.
I think there is like a little more heat on Marilyn, more actual heat on Marilyn than there was on Neda. And also it's like, we're not really seeing Marilyn have any super tight friends in the way that Neda was obviously so tied to Trana. But I mean, look, we'll see. I think her and Anik actually could go surprisingly far. It's a very messy cast. Anik is also throwing out names. She doesn't trust 007 Corinne at all. But anyway, Anik is coming for Corinne with suspicious twink Max. But then she's also trying to throw out Marilyn's name to synagoguist Manuel. And Manuel's like, I don't know if you noticed those non-verbal cues, Anik, but Marilyn was really shaking at breakfast. And Anik's like, bitch, everyone shakes. All right, what about Corinne? No, says Manuel, I trust her too. And Anik is just super mad. She's like, why does everyone trust Corinne? I need to undermine her.
Yeah. No, I did kind of love this sort of setup. It's just like, after the first round table, all 3 of them were never actually going to ever trust or whatever. As soon as Marilyn wrote out Anik's name at the first round table, it was just like, done. Yeah. It's like none of them had any trust in one another.
No, these are not girlies working together, that's for sure. Max, suspicious twink Max, is suspicious. He goes to Viti. It's like, Manuel is playing dumb. He should be brilliant. He is a synagoguist, but he can't understand Harissa's basic ideas. Only a genius could be a synagoguist, and yet he isn't.
I love it. Wait, okay, going off like for example, when you would tell everybody, well, when you and Luke would tell everybody all your theories and they fell on nothing, did you think that just everybody didn't understand what you were saying or that they were dumb?
Didn't think that other people were super game players,
Mm.
I think was the difference. But I think I understood that, a lot of people were influencers or actors or came from a different background, and like that was their entry point to the show rather than, I'm a normie, I just watched the show and I applied. So I'm there because I really love playing games, whereas they're there because they have an online presence or some kind of other presence.
Yeah.
So I just, it was a different, and everyone has different, um, different interests in the game as well. Like Simone was really close with Blake. It wasn't in her best interest to go after Blake from her perspective. So, like, I think, and you would feel the same way, right? You can't go into one of these games and think that you're the only smart person and everyone else doesn't know what they're doing, because that's when people start plotting against you.
Yeah, and that's even like what happened to me. Basically, George struck me with a group of people who were like recruited and a few people who I was working with, and they all turned on me. So yeah, it sort of all works out that way, that you sort of have to navigate those times.
Yeah. All
But this
right.
is a
So
normie cast, so
this is a a normie cast who are either come straight from the military or the police force
or synagogists.
or a synagoguist. So many synagogists.
Synagogists versus the military. New
So
thing.
Corinne's office, Marie Pierre was actually nominated by both Josh and Marie Jean, I think.
No, I think
No.
no. Wasn't Marie Jean picked as somebody? Whoever got eliminated last time, they picked Marie Jean, but then she got murdered, so it just ended up being Marie Pierre.
Oh, yeah. All right. So, anyway, regardless, it's only Marie Pierre in Corinne's office. So, again, recapping, in Corinne's office, these dead people nominate the eternally betrayed, as host Corinne calls them. And you get to go in and read the journals from all the people who are no longer in the game. What do you think about how now you've seen more? Now we've seen 6 episodes with this twist playing out. What do you think of it?
I love it.
Yeah.
I think it's a good twist. One, because I we'll I'll probably get reminded of it a few episodes down the line. But somebody says something in regards to somebody else's journal that makes me realize that now there's a strategy to one, who gets picked, but also to what you put inside the journal. Also, there's like a strategy with what you reveal. You can also make things up. You can, right now everybody's playing it earnestly. They're just looking at Marie Jean's journal and being like, remember, she wrote down blah, 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 and we seem to really trust her. And they completely disregard other people's journals. But I like it. I like the idea of the people who are being eliminated still being able to pass on information through some sort of means and benefiting whomever. I think I watched basically all I was going to call them untucks, the reveals.
La Revelation.
Yeah, I did watch. I can't remember if I watched the last one, but I did watch the other two. So yeah, I kind of like this as a way to push everything along. It also removes people from spaces as well. I like it as a mechanic.
Yeah, I also think it's not super impactful. Like it
No.
makes it adds a little something. They're not it's not overpowered because the journals were while they were still in the game. They've not got access to any new information since they've been eliminated. But all it really does, from my perspective, is reinforce existing bias. It's all about
Yes.
confirmation bias. The people who are invited to go in and look at the journals basically scour the journals until they find the name they were already thinking of anyway, and then just use that
Yep.
to double down on their existing perception. So
Yep.
Marie Pierre is like, look, Josh, doubt he has anything of use to say. Not even going to bother. But she's quite excited to see what Marie Jean thought. So Marie Jean was sus on Marilyn and Corinne, 007 Corinne. In fact, there's quite a lot of sus on Marilyn. And she also has this theory that there were 3 archetypes that were selected. One who takes up space, and the editors show us Arnick. One who expresses herself well, and I think that was Corinne. And then one who everyone likes, and they show us Marilyn.
Yeah.
So Joshua, meanwhile, was looking at Audrey and Frederic. Marie-Pierre's like, yeah, this guy's never had a good thought in his life. Time runs out, and from this, Marie-Pierre really takes away Marilyn, who was already on her list anyway, if you remember. She was looking at Kevin, Marilyn, and Max.
Yeah. Yeah, so confirmation bias.
Yeah, completely. So we are in the cars. Audrey's still pushing Frederic, the magician, illusionist. Meanwhile, there's a bit of heat. Marie-Pierre confronts Marilyn. She's like, girl, you never bring up a name. Like, you never contribute anything. What's even going? And Marilyn's like, oh, well, I was thinking Marie-Jean, but, she's not here anymore. She's like, well, actually, Marie-Jean was looking at you. Corinne living for the drama. Marilyn's like, well, it sounds like you're looking at me. Well, no, not necessarily. Well, maybe just you don't talk to me enough because I tell everyone everything. So there.
I love the counterpoints to you don't talk to anyone. Well, I talk to everyone.
Yeah. And Corinne, who's like, Corinne's like, actually, you don't tell anyone anything, Marilyn. Marilyn's like,
I love it.
And yes, Annick does hate Marilyn as well as Corinne because she's laying it on thick for Mike. She's sure Marilyn is a traitor. She's not gotten over the betrayal, and she's out for herself. So this mission is the Cabaret of Curiosity. You might remember this is the one from Canada where everyone got extra mad at Farming for Love gay Kirkland.
Yes. Yes.
So a bunch of volunteers have to describe what's in a box, which could be empty. And if they get an empty box and successfully convince people there was something in it, then they get a chance to win an advantage. So there's a bit of drama over this. It ends up being Kevin, Audrey, Yolene, Mike, and Harissa. And there's a little bit of a bicker between Audrey and Annick. Audrey's like, oh, what's wrong, Annick? You're not happy I'm going? And everyone's like, guys, you're acting like kindergartners.
Because didn't they go like, oh, maybe it should be the 5 people who volunteered themselves originally, and then some of them were like, I wouldn't be good at this.
Yeah.
And then Audrey's like, well, I would be. Ta-da! Me.
Audrey's so self-serving in just the most transparent, loud way.
Yeah. And it's funny
because
because
nothing subtle.
Yeah, the funny thing is they haven't developed a counter to it, aka no. They're all just like, I guess Audrey gets to do it, or we'll do what Audrey is like. Guys, surely somebody can just be like, no, I don't like that. I think it should be someone else.
In these 3 episodes, the only person we really see stand up to Audrey and tell her where to stick it is synagoguist Manuel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some of your non-verbal cues, Audrey, are actually quite hostile.
That's his power. He can just contextualize all of their actions.
Men will go to uni and get a PhD in learning how to read the room and still struggle. We love him well. All right, so basically they end up winning 8K. Only Audrey gets the advantage, which they call a privilege. And we find out she gets a choice between a shield, which protects you from murder, or a dagger, which gives you an extra vote. And she's trying to work out if she's more in danger of being banished or murdered. She chooses the shield, which I think that was a good choice at this stage in the game. I don't know. She has a lot of heat, so I think, she is probably more banishable than murderable. But based on her perception of herself, she doesn't know how incredibly wrong she is.
Yeah,
she might
true.
see herself as a genuine threat.
Yeah, she might see herself as a traitor hunter that has had no hit.
Yeah. I don't hate it. Anyway, Audrey's in her car with Harissa, Letitia, and Suspicious Twink. She's like, oh my God, everyone's going to be coming for me because I'm so good at lying. For instance, I didn't even get a shield. I'm so disappointed. I actually got a dagger with an extra vote. This was such an unnecessary lie. Like, I kind of like the idea of it, which is I mean, theoretically, and I don't think this is what she was doing, have the shield, but no one knows she has the shield, so that if they do try and murder her, then she can use that as an evidence point.
Yep.
But you would think it would be so incredibly obvious when she doesn't use the dagger tonight, which she somehow gets away with. And then when
Yeah.
everyone finds out, theoretically, if they did try and murder her and she had the shield, that she was lying about it, it's like one more reason not to trust her. I don't know.
Yeah. But maybe at a certain point, she has realized that she's the only legit gamer amongst this group, and she can basically just run circles around them because clearly their train of thought is like I said, nobody seems to be pushing back on her except for Manuel. I think she's probably realized she can get away with a lot with this group.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think that I appreciate her hustle and I appreciate that she's always trying to throw out new ideas, original ways of playing the game and is seeing what sticks, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, the fact that none of
Uh,
this over 3 episodes has not blown back on her in a way that at the round table they're like, you're as unhelpful as Joshua. Nobody said that about her.
yeah. Oh, they did. They said that she's as unhelpful as
Oh,
Joshua
true.
multiple times in episode 6. Josh too, but he still doesn't get votes. He
Exactly.
still doesn't get votes. They're like,
Yeah.
yeah, you're unhelpful, but you're obviously not a traitor. Crazy. Face tats Michael. He's coming for Audrey at this point, but that doesn't really end up going anywhere. And Marilyn is sobbing to Charles and Kevin about how Marie Pierre totally coming for her, and it's all over one of those stupid journals. But Kevin loves backing a traitor. There's nothing undercover secret intelligence Kevin likes more than blindly throwing in his lot with one of the traitors. So he's totes going to defend her. No, no, no. We are coming for Frederick. We're all in on Frederick. And Charles is like, I don't know if I really think Fred is a traitor, but I don't know. We'll see. This is important because later Charles is going to try and say coming for Frederick was his idea, and Phil was literally the last person on the bandwagon.
Yeah. I think Charles is probably the closest person to Audrey in terms of being a gamer. Like he's trying to do things
Yeah.
here and there. Unfortunately, I think in the grand scheme of things, a lot of these have very minimal impact.
Yeah.
So it's like you're playing your own game.
Yes, yes. He's out on an island. Have you noticed in the cars that Mike only ever travels with one person at a time? I'm like, does no one want to be in a car with Mike? Usually the cars are full. Does no one want to be with Mike, or is Mike like, I'm sorry, I take one passenger?
Oh, I have a feeling based off what everybody says that Mike's pretty upfront and he definitely is not a gamer, and all that sort of strat chat towards him probably wouldn't be. Clearly, everybody else wants to share information with one another. Mike is just always the dead end.
Yeah, fair. Yolaine still gives it a go, though. She's got theories. She's actually got some science. And based on her science and powers of deduction, Manuel, he is the most suspicious. He benefits from who's gone out the most. It's like, yeah, okay, I guess it could be him.
Yeah, yeah. I do kind of love the idea of like, no, this person so like. I'm sorry, I'm doing her voice, even though I'm talking about everybody. But people being like, this person is the most suspicious, and it just happens to be the person who's just doing the most. It's like,
Yeah.
and I don't think them doing the most in general classifies them as a traitor. They're just doing a lot of things.
He's trying. He's
Yeah.
trying. All right. Post mission, Audrey tells absolutely everyone she got the dagger and has a double vote. Marie Pierre doesn't trust Audrey's reign of terror, and suspicious twink is suspicious of illusionist Frederick. There's a lot of heat. At this point it became very obvious that the ball was rolling towards Frederick.
Yeah, which I found really random.
Yeah, it did kind of.
There was
I
no
didn't really
setup.
understand it.
No
There really
setup at the
wasn't.
top.
No, no.
They were just sort of like, he's a bit suspicious. And then later on, you're full-blown suspicious. But we never saw any real actions of his. It was just their own, like, it just seems like somebody like you would be really suspicious.
Yeah. We get some more amazing synagoguist Manuel content because Marie Pierre, she's like, look, I'm low-key terrified of Audrey, but my number one sus is Marilyn. Marie Pierre. Manuel is a synagoguist, and he saw the shaking. Okay? He has not seen what she's seeing. And then Marilyn joins the conversation. Awkward.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Frederick is preparing for war, and Manuel gets the tip off that some people that the other vote is him. And Manuel completely freaks out. He goes running around, he runs off to Mike and Charles, and Mike's like, yeah, I do have some questions for you, but I'm going to save them for the round table. Wouldn't you just want to slap him?
Yeah. It's like annoying.
All right, we get into the round table, as in host Korean was in a corset and faux furs. Where was host Corinne at the Met Gala, Philly?
I don't know. But, well, don't they have to pay?
I don't know, but it was a snub.
I feel like one, they have to pay to go to the Met Gala because it's like a fundraiser. And two, she's Canadian. She probably really didn't want to go to the States, to be honest.
Yeah, she'd probably be arrested for being too hot.
Yeah, they're probably like, oh my God, round her up. Look at her outfit. Yeah, they would have done something ridiculous.
So Mike opens up the round table. He piles it on Fred. He's like, you say there's 3 traitors. So sus that you think there's 3. How do you know that? And he's like, dude, we all think that. Except for Charles, side note, who's totally convinced there's 4.
There's 4, yep.
Face Tats Michael has noticed a physical and psychological decline. And Fred's like, yes, I agree. I'm very depressed.
Yeah,
I have feelings.
I don't want to be here.
Viti can't get a read on Manuel. Audrey leaps in to defend Manuel. Manuel starts talking about nonverbal cues he's noticed, including Fred not raising his glass high enough during a toast. But it's only a lead, he notes. It's only a lead. It's not evidence. Anyway, Yolen tries to explain her Manuel science. Whatever. It's almost a unanimous pile-on. In fact, it is a unanimous pile-in on Frederic, with only Fred voting for Face Tats Michael. But he's Je suis Fidel! And Manuel urges everyone, talk to me! And Marie Pierre's like, yeah, I mean, everyone, we've kind of voted out a lot of faithful at this point, but the real flop are the people doing a shit job of defending themselves. The banished ones. They're the ones who are the problem.
Which, in some cases, it's kind of true. It's like, if they're just like, oh, well, I guess it's me. Well, yeah, la, la, la. And then they just get banished. Well, then, yeah, you weren't helping anybody, including yourself.
Yeah. It's so true. Anyway, post-round table, synagoguist Manuel is having a little mentee bee, and suspicious twink Maxim kind of piles on him.
Yep, the beginning.
Suspicious twink is so suspicious of Manuel.
Yeah, seriously. I was starting to I was like, oh my goodness, the stars of the show are here.
Literally.
In my heart.
Viti ends up going off to comfort Manuel. And then we have it. It's a murder in plain sight. You've got to get them to shake hands and say they trust you. Where was Michael John for this?
Oh my God. I was laughing so much at this as it was playing out. Because, okay, not to speed forward, but I thought, again, the victim of it was going to be the suspicious twink of the season. Not to say that Dylan was a suspicious twink, but another gay.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, but then it plot twisted. But I was screaming. At this Annabel. It was giving me joy. This was like everything that happened after this episode. It's almost what fans would sort of speculate as things that could happen with twists. And more often than not, twists or challenges just play out the way they are. But they're like, but what about if they blah, blah, blah? This is literally multiple examples over these episodes of things that go wrong, go off kilter, whatever, by choice of the contestants. I'm obsessed with it.
They played all of these twists so well. And by well, I don't mean effectively strategically. I mean, what is the maximum amount of drama you could get from a twist? This cast leaned into it.
Yes. Yep. Obsessed.
So Corinne is basically running around threatening people. There's already sus on her because Charles is revealing that she's exposed herself to be a cop. But Corinne like fully pulls Audrey in aside and is like, I've got info, but I'm not going to give it to you. I'm not going to give it to you until you shake my hand and say I trust you. And Audrey's like, I'm not doing that. That stresses me out. It gets super weird. Corinne is like up in her face being like, shake my hand, say you trust me, say you trust me. And Audrey's like, bitch, back off. So Audrey, she's not having a bar of it. So she goes and finds Suspicious Twink, who she knows it's going to be easier to railroad. And so she's pulling Max aside and gives him the same spiel. But Audrey has already run around the whole house to tell everyone about this weird handshake drama. And Marilyn blows up Corinne's spot. She's like, what if she was trying to kill you?
Yeah.
Anyway, Max has already spoken to Audrey at this point, but he says, I trust you, but won't shake her hand. She gets super weird and aggressive about the handshake again, and he shakes her hand, but he doesn't say the exact phrase. Phil, this is where I thought it was a bit off. He shakes her hand and says, I want to trust you. So
Yep.
I thought, surely he'll get off on this technicality.
Yeah, technicality. Yep.
But anyway, it doesn't matter because he runs around telling everybody Corinne is a traitor and she tried to murder me. I'm dying tonight. She shook my hand and made me say a phrase. Anik is living for it. I was living for it. It was a hot mess.
Yeah, I was obsessed with it.
At La Révélation, where we see the eternally betrayed, Fred is sus on Anik because, as he correctly points out, a traitor would have let the Anik-Ariane fire spread and gives Jean-Philippe access to his journal. Meanwhile, Marie-Jean is going to give her journal to Manuel because everyone's sus on him and he'll be forced to share her insights. He mistakenly believes this is because they had a special connection. Okay. We get to breakfast. We better move a little bit more quickly because we got really in the weeds there. But Mike's defending Corinne. Everyone knew she was a cop already. What are you saying? Everybody knew. But anyway, doesn't matter because all the talk is about the handshake. Maxim is alive. Even Corinne is confused by that. But little do they know, Anik had zero faith in Corinne and actually went off and secretly did the deed with Letitia.
Yeah. Which I was obsessed. After this point, I was like, actually, because I know the last week we were like, okay, Corinne has the highest win equity and Anik has the least. No. I think she has the highest win equity now.
I love Anik. I love her constantly roasting everyone in confessionals. She's so funny. Yeah, Corinne was a mess. And no one, including Letitia, remembers that Anik shook her hand.
Yes. Literally, that was what amazed me.
There were witnesses. None of the
there was
witnesses
like 3
remember
other people in that room that they kept showing that one shot of, and literally no one remembers she was there. The loudest person.
Crazy. So anyway, Corinne has spent all night wondering, okay, how am I going to get the heat off me with this? So she gets up and reads to everyone a note she got from production saying that she had to get someone to shake her hand within 15 minutes to stop the traitors from killing anyone. And everyone's like, this is so bullshit. Like, why would they pick you? Why would you go to Audrey first rather than someone you were actually friends with? This makes no sense. No one is louder in calling out this than Anik.
Yeah.
Insane.
That was the beginning of the end. It's like your cover story made no sense. And why, do you know what? Why didn't Corinne just at that point just go, I actually have some information to discover a traitor, and I'm gonna tell Max. Let's go. Instead, she was like, "Well, all of it was a farce." It's like, no. At this point, there was almost no reason for you to have done any of it, like outside of what you had literally said.
Yeah.
So just follow through. Just say it was Manuel. Yeah. Just say, oh, Manuel said that, blah, blah, blah.
Or go off and put it on Anik or someone. Do you know what I mean? Like, pull Max and said, I thought I'd give you the information. Anik, blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, Tree for some reason buys Corinne's story. She's like, the story totally makes sense. This is so something that would happen. I'm so sus on Suspicious Twink. Anyway, Marie-Pierre's not buying a bar of it, and Anik sort of weirdly threatens Marilyn here. She's like, I am watching you. Okay, Corinne needs to leave. She's playing badly, but you come for me and you're dead meat, Marilyn. So, all right, whatever. We get to Corinne's office. This time the confirmation bias is going towards Suspicious Twink. For some reason, even though they're all saying Marilyn as well, it's Suspicious Twink that we're looking at. And Manuel's convinced Maxim has been plotting against him from the shadows. All right, so now we have the Saints vs. Sinners mission, where, if you remember this from last time, the Traitors have nominated 7 people who represent the 7 deadly sins. They have to go off and do the mission. Meanwhile, the Saints all get given a temptation. They can secretly bet money that would be earned from this mission, and whoever bids the most gets a shield. This was so different. Like last time, no one bid anything. Everyone was being super, honor and glory, except for insane Michael John, who bids everything and then confesses to it.
Yeah.
Everyone was bidding here. Everyone was trying to get their slice.
Yeah. And the funny thing is that I think last time they actually got quite a few right. So they actually had a substantial amount and they basically lost most of it. Did Michael John? No, he only did 5, I think. He did 5,000 and Kira's like, oh my God, that's still a lot of money. Because I remember that Corinne didn't take away everything. But it was a large enough amount that they were like, that's so much money. While they made basically no money, and the highest bid was like 3 times the amount.
Literally.
And I was thinking about it all the time. I was like, that means anybody who bid more than 3,000 up all probably thinks that they potentially have a shield or whatever, and obviously they wouldn't have received one, but they still probably would have thought, oh my God.
Was this then a complete waste because no one gets murdered tonight? Someone just gets put in a cage? Was all this drama then once again for nothing?
Well, I guess if let's say they put Manuel in the cage and then the guys do what they did today, then he's like, ta-da, and Jade can cop out of the cage.
Would it? I don't know.
I don't know. They probably weren't expecting them to game the game so much these few episodes.
Yeah, T. So at Saints, Manuel saying, all right, guys, I don't want us to waste any time at the round table tonight talking about Corinne's letter because that was not suspicious at all to me. So we can end the conversation now. Suspicious Twink finds this highly suspicious. And I have to say, Manuel, it was a little suspicious.
Yeah, shutting it down.
Yeah. So Yolene bids 2K, Charles bids 3K, Jean-Philippe bids 5K, and over in the Sinners, Harissa's completely ballsing everything up, and they only end up getting 2 right. And everyone's super mad at Harissa for taking control.
Yeah. And because, I understand because look, at the core of that challenge is basically prescribing people personality traits based off what they know of them. Do that first and then do the shuffling around based off what the words are saying. But they were trying to just shuffle everybody around based off what the things were saying and not actually applying. Like Audrey the whole time was like, clearly I would be lust. And Viti was clearly meant to be pride and all this sort of thing, and they kept getting them wrong. I think they only got Marie-Pierre was anger, and Marie-Pierre was greed. And I was like, sure.
Honestly, I think Audrey should have been greed based on what we've seen of her, but that's up to her. She was so mad when she found out she could have been betting all of the money on the shield.
Yeah.
Jean-Philippe makes this super weird, unnecessary lie up. He tells everyone that he bet $100 that he would get the shield. And at this point, we've seen Jean-Philippe bid the most at 5K. So, obviously, if in the scenario he gets the shield, he's betting that nobody else bid anything. So that he's like, yeah, it was just $100. Maybe if he did get it, Charles knows he bid 3K. Yolene knows she bid 2K. So, it was so weird.
And also, they wouldn't be able to deduct that in front of them. What is Corinne going to do? Grab a knife and slice one of those gold coins in tenths and take a slice? Somebody bid $10,000 and I'm going to take it away. It didn't make any sense. In the end, what was it a cover for? If he's like, I got it, and the others it just, yeah.
Whatever. Audrey, Marilyn, and Annika gunning for Corinne. Then we have the fun car, which is synagoguist Manuel. a shocking mullet Jean-Philippe, suspicious twink Maxime, and receding hairline Charles. Suspicious twink, he's like, I've got suspicions, Manuel, for you, but it's a feeling. Whereas with Corinne, it's lived experience and evidence. I've still got to go for Corinne over you.
Yeah.
Okay. Everyone's spreading sus on Corinne. And then Corinne has a not slip up in a conversation with Charles, Mike, and Michael. They're discussing why the traitors chose that particular 7. And Corinne says, well, we didn't know what the mission was. Which Charles jumps on thinking that she meant we, the traitors, but like only the faithful didn't know what the mission was. The traitors clearly did because they selected people for the sins. So it was almost like because Charles was a saint, he actually didn't understand the mission, and he's right in that Corinne is a traitor, but he's wrong in that this was not a slip up or a piece of evidence.
Well, because I thought it was that they were like, this was the beginning of the Marilyn is boring edit.
Yes.
Where they're like, we don't understand why she was selected amongst the 7. And then that's when Corinne goes, well, we didn't know what the mission was. And then that's why he assumed that she selected Marilyn. And then that's why he was like, well, why would you even say that? Because we had nothing to do with it, basically, effectively.
Yeah, okay. Because in fairness, like the other 6 people picked for sinners are big personalities who clearly represent a sin. Whereas Marilyn is like there.
Also, like, how crazy is it that all the POCs were selected as one of the 7 people?
Oh my god!
I was like, guys.
That is so cooked.
So crazy. I just thought it was wild. Like, and I don't want to assume anybody else's backgrounds, but I just thought it was crazy that at the very least, Harissa, Viti, and Anik had to pick what sins they were. Am I greedy? Am I a sloth? Am I fat? Like, what the hell? I thought that was interesting.
Well clocked. At the round table, host Corinne reveals that the whole amount they won, 3K, is being taken from the pot. But someone was willing to take 10K. And it's revealed to us that synagoguist Manuel, who was never getting murdered, bless him, because his name lives rent-free in everyone's head, he won the shield. And he makes sure, did you notice, he made sure to give visible non-verbal cues it wasn't him. He does a lot of, It was great. Charles lays into Corinne. Max says it's suspicious she didn't come to him first. Corinne blathers. Everyone's kind of coming for Corinne except for Kevin, and then obviously not for Mike. Mike is like, I would put my name on Corinne being a faithful. Stop doing pile-on votes. Anyway, Mike and Corinne vote for Arnick. Viti votes for Jean-Philippe because he genuinely thinks Jean-Philippe is a traitor, and Marilyn does a throwaway vote on Faced Hat's Michael. Everybody else votes for Corinne. And everyone except for Mike is so delighted to have found a traitor. Charles is aggressively fist-pumping. We need Manuel's analysis of what does aggressive fist-pumping mean. So, Manuel, let us know in the comments. Aggressive fist-pumping, what's that a cue for? And Mike is just absolutely devastated. So he goes, professional, he goes, she is an expert in infiltration. and Charles comes up with this completely crackpot theory that Corinne, who was on the Saints, left with the shield. I'm like, there's no evidence for that whatsoever, but go off, babe.
Exactly. Like, she's not trying to sabotage herself. Like, she doesn't want no money.
Yeah. Anyway, Charles is trying to take credit for catching this traitor, despite the fact he was literally the last person on the bandwagon. Jean-Philippe with the mustache, mullet, Jean-Philippe. He's impressed by Suspicious Twink's analysis because who knew gays could have thoughts and express them. Mm-hmm. But also maybe that was Max betraying the other traitors. Marilyn tries to see that Corinne voted for Arnick because she's also a traitor. And Yolene is troubled by Mike's convictions. But then Mike, oh my god, this was so extra. This was giving shades of Lisa the priest revealing she's a priest. Philly.
Yes. Yes, everybody come in the room.
Come to the room. Everyone come to the bar because he's going to give a speech. And he says, remember how I said I have made love to 4 Corinnes in my life? I've only had one, and you just eliminated her. And I'm really disappointed. Does this mean he was lying about shagging every Corinne in Quebec?
Yeah. Yeah, he was. Because they were
That's such a
together
weird
for
lie.
16 years.
Why would you say you've been with 4 Corinnes?
He was saying a lot of stuff that could have tripped him up about his relationships and family
Yeah.
that he just did not think about. I was thinking just then, as you sort of reiterated what he had said, I find it so interesting that whenever these people keep trying to do these reveals, they never say it in the direct way. So they always say, like, let's say Lisa the priest, she was like, I did say I wouldn't lie in God's name or whatever, but blah, blah, blah. And everyone's like, what does that mean? And so the reaction's gone.
Yeah.
So when he goes, can you tell me how many Koreans I said I had slept with? Someone's like, 4. Well, it's 1. They're like, okay. And you eliminated her. They're like, okay, what?
With the others, we are wizard. And I don't believe lesbian sex is real. He then also reveals she's like, she's a Krav Maga. Oh, she went deep into the jungles of Costa Rica to train to become a Krav Maga expert. She's a master of automatic weapons and a master infiltrator. She's Rambo. She's James Bond. It was so much. I was cackling.
Oh, if I was one of the others, then I'd be like, wow, and and she was bad. Like, what do you want us to say? She couldn't even do the "I'm going to need to take your hand" mission. Anik just did it.
Every single one of those things individually is a major red flag. Like, if I was on a date with someone and they told me they were a Krav Maga expert, like, I would be on the next tram out of there. Master of automatic weapons, I'd be calling the police. And he's like, oh, she's so sexy.
Yeah. She's like, she's a bodyguard. She's this. I was like, wow, she's lived a life.
She has lived a life, and I am terrified of her. Terrified.
Yeah, any other context outside of the show?
Like, can you imagine if you were, like, trapped in a castle with someone and it turns out that they, like, know Krav Maga and are a master of automatic weapons? I would be, like, complaining to production. I'd be like, this is not a safe working environment for me.
Yeah, there's a spy. There's an actual spy here.
At least half this cast has actually, in real life, murdered someone, and I'm not comfortable with it.
Yes. Actually, though, yeah, seriously, we got 5 cops and synagogists. So, everyone's dying.
Oh my god. All right. So back up in Traitors Tower, Anik is threatening Marilyn. I don't trust you, but we're making it to the end together. Okay.
Yeah.
And they're tossing up. Do we murder Mike? Because everyone thinks he's a faithful now. Do we murder Marie Pierre? Yes, better idea, guys. And Corinne's like, well, we could recruit. They're like, we could recruit Charles. And it's like, no, I really want to murder Mike.
Yeah.
All right.
But also, like, why not?
Why not? Yeah, seriously. Why not? Let's make
Nobody even wants to be in the cars with him.
Safe workspace. No one wants to be in the cars. Yes. So Letitia thought the traitors were Maxime, suspicious twink, survivor villain Audrey, and was actually a traitor Corinne, and is totally gagged when she finds out the reveals. Moving into episode 6, so we continue at Traitors Tower. There's a bit of disagreement, a bit of back and forth, but they find out, what a twist. There's no murder tonight. We have to condemn a prisoner to a cage. They live if they are freed from the cage in the mission. Otherwise, they are executed. So they're shown the key that will unlock the cage that they can choose in the next mission, and they can put themselves in the cage if they want to. If that person survives, they get a shield and cannot be murdered that night. So if you remember this in Traitors Canada, Philly, this is where it basically completely eliminated any chance of Gail being a traitor. They were like, no, she's basically confirmed faithful.
Yep.
So,
way.
Yeah, it did not go that way this time, all right? Marilyn's concerned, because if we put Marie Pierre in there and she lives, then we can't kill her tomorrow night, and I need to kill this bitch. And they're like, we could give it to Viti, because I don't really care if he lives or dies. Brutal! And then, even more brutal, we could put in synagoguist Manuel, because people might not fight for him to live.
Yeah. The irony of that as well. Jeez.
Anyway, we get down to breakfast. It's Kevin and Yolene, and Yolene thinks it might be Mike. If he wasn't a traitor already, he's the perfect recruit. But, like, Charles is obsessed with this idea there's 4 traitors and that you can't recruit at 3. First of all, I'm pretty sure you can recruit at 3. Second of all, like, Charles, what's going on?
Yeah.
Anyway, a lot of sus on Mike. And Mike's like, look, I don't think Corinne would have taken the shield, to be fair. Like, she would have wanted the money. She doesn't need a shield because she's a traitor. And they all do a reflection on the handshake moment again. Like, if her letter story was true, she would have gone straight to Mike, her husband. So it was a killer handshake. Who shook Letitia's hand? Yes. Very good question.
Yes,
Except
evidence.
no one can remember. And then, like, really later, after everyone's kind of talked about it, Marilyn goes, oh, yeah, actually, I was there. I was a witness. I would have been a witness too, but I don't remember. And Harissa's like, this is so weird. Anyway, Face Tats Michael has not come down to breakfast, and Marie-Pierre is also missing. Face Tats Michael has quit. He couldn't handle it anymore. And then Corinne reveals he was a faithful. I can reveal, I don't know what I can't remember what they did in the US when all those people quit in season 2, but certainly there were a lot of quits. Spoilers for Traitors Hungry season 1. A lot of quits in that season, and they did not reveal the status.
Oh, there you go.
Anyway, Marie-Pierre is missing. She's in the cage. Suspicious Twink is suspicious of Charles. Marilyn's suspicious of Charles. And Manuel is gunning for the suspicious Twink with facts today. But Charles is like, I'm putting together the evidence with the handshake, and it's super weird Marilyn came in late confessing. This is where everyone pops off on Harissa.
Oh, because I was also like, later on, they're like, oh, Yolene said it first. And I'm like, did we see Elaine even admit that she was in the room? I don't think she was even in the room. The shot that they keep showing, she's definitely not in the room. She's like...
No. So weird. Harissa's stuff on Kevin and trying to explain it, and then Annika and Kevin pop off on Harissa. They're like, you waffle too much, cut to the chase, and she's like, my personality's being attacked.
Yeah, they're like, you say a lot of words, but you're not getting to the point. She's like, oh my God. And the funny thing is, like, okay, obviously we have subtitles, so we're seeing the words literally in front of our face. But I wouldn't necessarily, I don't know, maybe it's just lost in translation. Like, I don't think she's that incoherent.
Yeah, no, I think, look, whatever. Poor Queen Harissa. I like Harissa. Sometimes her ideas are good, sometimes her ideas are bad, but most people's ideas are always bad on this season, so I think she's up there for MVP.
Yeah, exactly. She's on the up.
Yeah. Anyway, Charles goes into host Corinne's office to look at Marie-Pierre's journal, but it's not there. So he's forced to look at Face Tats Michael, who trusted Manuel, and Charles is like, this is boring. So he finds Marie-Jean's. Marie-Jean was sus on Jean-Philippe, Maxime, and Marilyn, which, again, plays into Charles's confirmation bias, who's already suspicious of suspicious Twink and Marilyn. No cars. Host Corinne is dressed as a toddler who loves BDSM. It was giving that Balenciaga campaign.
Yes. Yes.
And this is where things get really spicy. So, like, the 6 keys, one of them opens the cage, and they've got to find the right one by solving folklore puzzles, which means you can get a key. The traitors know the right one. Arnick doesn't want to be anywhere near the keys. Good call. And Audrey just becomes, like, dead set that a traitor would have put themselves in the cage, and we need to throw this mission so that we leave Marie-Pierre in there and she either dies or is proven a traitor. And the only person who pushes back on this is Manuel. He's like, this is just a theory. He's like, it's one of many theories. Do we want to risk killing a faithful over a theory?
Yeah.
And Audrey is like, yes. And she is going around aggressively bullying people. She's like, Marie-Pierre's a traitor and Manuel is working with her as a fellow traitor. And Viti's like, can we just play the game, please? Like, please, can we just get some money? Audrey's like rallying the other group. She's like, we're not saving Marie-Pierre. But they agree, all right, we'll get the money, so we'll collect the keys, and then we can decide later if we actually use them. Anyway, Manuel tells Marie-Pierre this, and she's super pissed, obviously. She tries to reason with suspicious Twink Max, but Max says he's suspicious of her. Very unfortunate. Manuel refuses to give the key he gets to Audrey and demands she stops controlling everyone, while Audrey goads Marie-Pierre in the cage. In the end, with kind of throwing this challenge, they only actually get 2 keys, but one of them, oh my god, is the right one. But the right one is one that Charles got, and he threw it into a bush so that no one could use it to save her. And only Manuel has a key, and he's like, look, we're split. I'll take it to a vote. I'll try the key if you vote to use the key. And anyway, Marie-Pierre calls out Max for being a traitor. She calls out Audrey for steamrolling. Only Manuel, Harissa, and Arnick vote to free her, which is juicy. And Marie-Pierre reveals, Je suis fidèle and a federal investigator. Harissa tells Audrey she's annoying, and Audrey pops off. And Harissa, MVP.
Yeah, seriously. Spewing facts.
You know who else is spewing facts? Synagoguist Manuel. He is smug after this mission. He's tired of being swept up and coerced by survivor villain Audrey. He likes facts. She just has theories. But people, including Manuel, are like, Audrey isn't a traitor. It's just Audrey doing Audrey, which is toxic. Marilyn, Arnick, and Audrey agree that Max is faithful, but people are going for him anyway. And Audrey suggests, look, Corinne was a woman. Maybe we should go for a guy now because it's probably a mix of both. Should we go for Mike? Why not? Audrey and Arnick hide in a bush to spy on Jean-Philippe, Viti, and Charles, where they're gossiping about Audrey being Joshua 2.0, i.e. a shit distracting faithful.
Yeah, I love
and Jean-Pierre reads, he's like, all the journals I read say it's Max. And Audrey, they pop in out of the bush like, which again, why don't they get more heat for this? I don't know.
Yeah.
But she's like, Max, he takes up too much space. The silent ones, Yolene, Mike, we need to look at them to be traitors. Charles is like, well, I'm looking at the sinners. Why was Marilyn there? She literally has 0 personality. She was spying for the traitors, obviously. So I didn't really know where things were going at this stage.
Me
it was
neither.
Kind of messy.
Yeah, there was like too many things happening at the same time.
Too much. And did you notice going to this round table that Corinne was wearing a beige version of My Husband Killer robe?
Oh, yes. Yeah, and she like flung it. She
flung.
like did a full entrance.
She tranced. All right. Manuel gives in this round table the most amazing analogy ever. He invites everyone to get on the Uncle Manu bus because he's ready to get wet. Did you? It was so confusing. He's like, IT, you tell me I don't get wet enough? Well, baby, tonight I'm getting wet. And, hun, we are riding.
And then he was like, first stop, suspicious twink. Before you get on this wet bus.
I'm stepping on your cape. And he whips out like 5 sheets of paper and starts reading them. Oh, like no one is getting more roasted by the edit than Manuel at this point. Like,
yeah.
He starts reading through his evidence against suspicious twink. His red flags include excessive confidence, his name being in journals, and the edit starts montaging everyone zoning out, just showing that the evidence is going on and on and on. And Max just gives 2 snappy sentences. He's like, girl, you are just scared of my faithfulness because you are the traitor. How is a trained synagoguist still in the game? You are the single biggest threat to the traitors. And everyone's like, yeah, T. Audrey asks the quiet people to speak up. She allows Kevin to give 1 sentence where he says the journal, say Maxim, and then immediately all of the loud people start talking again. People just kind of go all over the place. It's very messy. Harissa's name comes up. Mike's names come up. Audrey's like, where are you voting? Who's voting for who? I don't know what the group vote is. This is Survivor. I need to have the majority vote. So what's the majority vote that's not suspicious twink?
Yeah. Because when does her confronting all the guys come in after this?
This happens after this, because this was white guy violence tonight. It really was. Because the votes are spread all over the place. Audrey and Viti put them on Yolene. Max votes for Manuel. Marilyn and Arnick go for Harissa. Yolene on Mike. Harissa on Viti. But all the straight white guys, so Manuel, Jean-Philippe, Mike, Kevin, and Charles, they all vote for Max. Suspicious twink.
Yeah.
Twink death right here, Phil.
The twink death. We saw twink death in front of our eyes.
Literally. And anyway, Maxim, je suis fidèle. Charles is now looking at Marilyn. Manuel is upset he wrote an entire short novel on Maxim for nothing. And Audrey's just piling on to the dudes. She's like, this is what happens when the traitors vote together and we don't have a pile-on vote ourselves. Super
Oh my
aggro.
God. She had a Trana speech.
It was a Trana speech.
Is this is Trana? Trana
It is
2.0.
evil Trana lecturing them. And Viti's like, girl, voting together is what ended up getting this result. Like... Anyway, it was a manspiracy, according to Audrey, and so she's like popping off on the guys. Harissa says that it's sus the two people who voted for her never raised it with her. That was Marilyn and Anik, who are actually both traitors. Anyway, Anik responds by screaming at her.
You talk too much.
Yeah. After the round table, Audrey's pissing off the white man, and Mike refers to her as the little boss of the toilets, which is apparently someone who is bossy. Manuel and Audrey acknowledge they're getting on each other's tits, but that doesn't make them traitors. And anyway, Charles points out that the girls' club from the beginning, if you remember, because this was so long ago, there was like a core of quiet women who were kind of working together. And Charles is like, they're all gone now. Marilyn is still here. And this is why I don't think Marilyn is Netta, because there is evidence and people are talking about it, not just in confessionals.
Yeah. Yeah, because they really have eliminated all those women.
Yeah. In Traitors Tower, Marilyn wants to recruit somebody who's getting heat, but Anik is like, no, I can't be asked training a new traitor. Like, I already hate you. I'm not bringing in somebody else. She wants to kill Manuel or Audrey, which I think are both terrible options for murder because there's heat on them. I'm like, who should they be murdering? Who's like actually relatively sane? There's apparently heat on Charles, so they don't want to get rid of him. I'm like looking at the board. I think Mike. I mean, Kevin's useless. There is Audrey. I don't know. I'm like, do we get rid of Audrey? No, Audrey is such a. If people don't think Audrey is a traitor, do we get rid of Audrey here?
Yeah. Well, yeah. The thing is, actually, yeah, I think at this point, she's so clearly not a traitor. She is Joshua 2.0. But
and it could frame the men.
Yeah, true. But was anybody else there to witness her sort of be like, oi, what are you doing?
She literally did it in front of everyone at the round table. Like, Audrey doesn't do anything subtly.
Oh, yeah, duh. Yeah, sorry, I was thinking about them at the bar.
Yeah. Anyway, Anik wants to murder Charles. Marilyn wants to murder Viti, but knows that Anik won't like it because her and Viti are in an alliance. And Anik suggests murdering Manuel. Marilyn suggests Kevin. At this point, it's between Charles, Manuel, or Kevin. There's no heat on Kevin, but Kevin loves defending Anik and Marilyn. Like, he trusts both of them implicitly, so I don't think that's a great choice. Charles is the most savvy, so it's probably a good idea to get rid of Charles. There's enough heat on other people. I think the best choice would be Charles here.
Yeah, he's like coming up as a loud enough person, but as you keep pointing out, like, he's a loud enough person, but he seems to be claiming things that aren't necessarily driven by him, and I don't necessarily think the others necessarily perceive him as a traitor hunter. But maybe that's what the show wants us to think, that he is one, and so then it seems like they eliminate a threat, you know?
Yeah. Well, who do we think they'll murder?
Charles.
Yeah, I think Anik seems pretty set on Charles.
Or Mike. I don't know. It'll be either Mike or Charles.
Yeah. All right, so at Le Revelation, I miss Max already. I'm so sad about Max. He wills his journal to Anik, and Marie-Pierre, she is willing her journal to Harissa. And we see in the next time on, everyone is fed up with Audrey.
Well, so we think.
Yeah.
I mean, like, every episode is, oh my God, Audrey, you're doing the most. Let's do what you say.
All right, who do we think? Let's predict 2 people we think won't make it out of next week, and maybe who we think's likely to be murdered.
Okay, so when you say next week, we're talking about a 3-episode span.
Yeah, by next week, I mean episodes 7, 8, and 9.
Marilyn's going at some point.
Yeah, I think Marilyn's not making it through. I don't think Manuel makes it through the next, I'm sorry to say, friend of the pod, synagoguist Manuel.
And Audrey. We just picked 3 stars of the show. But
it's going to be sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's going to be Manuel. They're going to just finally banish him because they're like, we need to just get this over and done with. Same with Audrey. She's just Joshua 2.0. And then Marilyn, because, like, basically the murders are hard to predict because they might just do it because it's somebody they just want to create chaos. But with the banishments, I think those three are the top candidates.
Yeah.
Because we
Yep,
actually haven't
they're
been
up there right
presented with anybody else who maybe Harissa, throw her in there because they seem to be just really find her incoherent.
Poor Harissa. I love Harissa. Protect
Also,
Harissa.
also, it's sort of funny. Now, I was thinking about it before, just then, with the sinners and things. It's like it's interesting that Marilyn, because Anik was there as well.
Yeah. No one thinks that Arnik is a traitor anymore.
Like they really would. They would never like it was, traders clearly would have put themselves in that position. Anik was right there as well.
Yeah.
Like two of them actually.
Yeah. Well,
The
I think it
complete
makes
inverse.
perfect sense that she was Wrath.
Yeah, true. Yeah, true. Yeah, no, actually, yeah, exactly. How crazy? Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
She
They
loves
put all
starting
their friends in
fights.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, she didn't get in. I mean, she got in a fight with Harissa, but that was pretty restrained for Arnik compared to how many fights she got into in the first three
In the
episodes.
first few episodes. Well, what part of the episode was it where she was just like, "Hey, I'm not gonna fight"? Or was it with Harissa when she
Possibly.
went? She was like, "Oh my god, I need to stop."
Be less.
Like,
Be less.
be less. No, I think she's my favorite. I think she. If you had a top three like favorite characters coming out of the season so far, who would they be?
Arnik is a favorite character. I think Synagoguist Manuel is a really fun character as well. I love Suspicious Twink Max, but I don't know if he was he a really big character?
Or was he?
I think
just my
Audrey
favourite?
is delivering, I don't love Audrey in the way that I love Max, but I think Audrey has brought a lot of drama to the season that's made it fun to watch.
Yeah, I would have. You literally, outside of Max, you literally said the three people I had in mind. So look at that. We're on sync.
All right, my darling angel, what have you got going on? Where can the people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at ChiliPhilly. You don't need to follow me on Twitter.
Okay.
You
Well,
can follow us on Babes on the Brink. I seem to
follow us at Babes on the Brink.
By the way, if you're replying to DMs, it's not me, it's Annabel.
It's almost always me.
And if it's seen but no reply, it's most likely me. Because I just am looking.
Chronically online. Yeah, follow us at Babes on the Brink, please. Please leave us a rating and a review. We would totally love and appreciate that. You can follow me at Annabel CE on Instagram and Twitter. I need to finish up The Traitors Hungry Season 1 with Sarah Carradine, where we are going to talk about what has Hungry contributed to the meta. What are the key strategic insights we got, ways of playing the game, things that we need to know moving forward. And then I am going to start on The Traitors Poland Season 1 with wonderful friend of the pod, Jane from The Traitors New Zealand. So we hope that you're enjoying our non-English language coverage of the seasons. Let us know what you think. Bye!
Bye!